Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to today's Bhakti Shastri class. Nectar of Devotion, lesson 6.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Govind ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. In the last class, we have seen the explanation for eligibility for the acceptance of the bhakti or the devotional service and how to practice it and how to advance in the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. These things we have seen in the last class, that is lesson 5. In the book, it is chapter number 3. And then the independent of nature of pure devotional service, that is, for performing devotional service, one need not undergo any separate atonement for the any kind of difficulties or the mistakes that we perform in our devotional service. The chanting of the holy name itself will take care of all the mistakes and all the difficulties, and it will make us to eligible for continuing our bhakti. And also discussed ISKCON's practice of claiming members from all sections of Western countries in relation to principles established by Srila Rupa Goswami. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown that he has accepted the devotees from all the communities. He has not seen their what is their birth or what is the condition in society. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. He has not checked any of this. He has given the opportunity for serving Krishna for all the people. Haridas Thakur, even though he has come from a Muslim family, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has declared him as the Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. So that is the principle established by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by writings Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada has given the same thing to us. So those things also we have discussed in the last class. Now, by knowing the definition for pure devotional service, now it is our duty to learn how to practice it. Rupa Goswami is going to teach us this, how to practice the devotional service. And to start with, we have to practice sadhana bhakti. And in sadhana bhakti also there are two parts, Vaidhi sadhana and Raga Anuga sadhana bhakti. In Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, there are 64 items. Those 64 items will be discussed today. And this starts from chapter number 6 in your Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu book, which you have. So if you all can open the book and open chapter number 6, how to discharge devotional service. That is the title of the chapter. How to discharge devotional service. So that is the name for today's class. That is lesson 6, how to discharge devotional service. Now, if you observe these chapters, that is from beginning from chapter number 6 up to chapter number 13, that is most of the chapters are covered here. Among the 19 chapters which we are going to study, the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti includes chapter number 6 to chapter number 13. So most importance is given for Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, learning and teaching Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. The 6th chapter, it is an overview. All the 64 items are listed here. How to discharge the devotional service. And in the further chapters, that is from the 7th chapter onwards, each item will be discussed in detail one by one. So let us see what is given in the 6th chapter first. There are totally 64. Among them, the first 10 are called pravritti. That means what you have to do for beginning devotional service. And next 10, that is 11 to 20, are called nivritti. That means what you have to avoid for performing devotional service. That is anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. Whatever favorable for devotional service, you have to accept it, and whatever it is not favorable, then we have to give it up. So these things are explained in the first 20 items, and in these 20 items are most important, so that's why it's considered as primary items. And the remaining are called 44 additional items, which makes totally it is 64. 20 plus 44 is 64. And in that also, there are 21 to 59 items of sadhana. And then the final last 5, because there are too many points up to 64, we will not be able to remember what are the things. So if you are not able to follow all the 64, at least one must follow the last 5 items, which is called as, here it is mentioned as most potent items of sadhana. So if anybody performs these 5 items knowingly or unknowingly, they will definitely advance in Krishna consciousness. So this is how the items are listed here. Now, if you see the book, it's in 53 page number in my book. It is the first beginning of chapter number 6. In it, you can see the first line. Srila Rupa Goswami states that his elder brother, that is Sanatana Goswami, has compiled Hari Bhakti Vilasa for guidance of the Vaishnavas, and therein has mentioned many rules and regulations to be followed by the Vaishnavas. Some of them are very important and prominent, and Srila Rupa Goswami will now mention these very prominent items for our benefit. So Hari Bhakti Vilasa is another book by Srila Sanatana Goswami, in which there is more details about the performance of sadhana bhakti, or 64 items of sadhana bhakti. Here, what is the purport here? See, there are two things. One is the principle, other one is details. You can see the next continuation line. The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instructions of his spiritual master is considered as a detail. So here in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami is explaining about the principles. Here principles are like the guidance, or it's like a compass which navigates. If your destination, wherever it may be, it will be guided by the compass. So we can only see the direct distance. But actually, how you can approach that point, it is by following a path. You may not be able to go directly because we can't fly like birds. We have to walk on the path. So that path is like the details, how to practice. So those things are explained. Just like in the 64 items, Archana is one of the item. That is worshipping the deity form of the Lord. Now, how to do this? Each and every details, that is not mentioned here. That details we have to learn from the spiritual master, or the Narada Pancharatra is there, or in the temples we can get the guidance. But the main item, that is one must worship the Lord, that is explained here. So that is the difference between details and the principle. Now, when we are following the details or the path, we should not forget the principle. When we forget the principle, then we lose the path. Just like the example, in the Vedas, there is a it is mentioned about demigod worship or karmakandiya items, how to practice all those things. They are explained. But what is the principle? The principle is a person should come under the Vedic life so that he will become subordinate to the Vedic principles, and gradually one should understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender to him. That is the principle. Now, if we forget the principle and only take the path, then what happens? The person will get lost in that itself. Like there is a Janma Karma Phala Pradhan. The person can go to the heavenly planet and he can enjoy there. This becomes very attractive. So he will follow the path. But if he doesn't know that all these things are explained, so that one day the person will understand these all are temporary. How many times you can go up and down? You can go to heaven and come back, and again you do all the pious activities and then again go. So much of suffering is there. Birth, death, old age, disease, always there. So those things cannot be avoided. Gradually the person will become intelligent. But if you only follow the path, just like during the time of before the birth of Buddha, people were taking the injunctions of the Shastra for killing the animals, the sacrificing the animals in the yajna, or killing the animals in the sacrifice. So their actual principle, it was forgotten. As Srila Prabhupada says, any animal which is sacrificed during the sacrifice, the yajna, what happens? The animal should get a new birth. He should be promoted to a higher species, or he should get a human form of body, so that the animal gets benefited. But if you are performing it only for some material gain, then it is not correct. That's why Lord Buddha came. Nindasi yajna videraha shruti jatam sadaya hridaya darshita pashughatam keshavadrita buddha sharira jaya jagadisha hare. So what Buddha did, he just stopped all this sacrifice. You just stop it, because you don't know what is the principle behind this. You're only got lost in the details. So that should not happen. So one should understand what is the principle, and while following it, you may not be able to go directly. The path will be given by the spiritual master. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami ma shuchaha. Okay, so Krishna has told, give up everything and just surrender unto me. So how to surrender? This is a question. So we have to learn how to surrender. For that, we need spiritual master. We have to learn from spiritual master what is the meaning of surrender. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as a devotee, and he performed devotional service, and he gave the example how a devotee should be. And he established all the literatures for our following, and through the Goswamis. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave 4 main purposes to be done by the Goswamis. First one is to identify all the pastime places of Radha Krishna in Vrindavana. Second one is to establish the worship of the Radha Krishna in the temples, that is to build the temple. And third thing is to write the literatures so that everyone can follow. And fourth one, to give a Vaishnava etiquette by personal example. How the Goswami should be, how Goswamis were so detached with everything that they had. They never stayed under one tree for 2 days. They were so much detached in their activity. So all these things the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. So here we get the details, and by studying the life of a devotee, we can understand the details, how to perform devotional service. So that is the difference between details and the principle. One should follow the details and one should reach the principle. Continuing further. Anybody would like to read can raise their hand. Yeah, Pooja Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. You're not audible. Okay, Anu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
20 items, all very important. Without following the above mentioned 10 principles, one cannot properly elevate himself to the platform of sadhana bhakti or devotional service in practice. Altogether, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions 20 items and all of them are very important. Hare
Continue.
Krishna.
Continue.
Out of the 20, the first 3, namely accepting the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, taking initiation from him and serving him with respect and reverence, are of the most important. Nectar of Devotion, page 53. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So out of 20, the first 3 are most important. What are they? You can see in the book. The first one is to accept the shelter of lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. When we get the shelter of spiritual master, our devotional service begins. Without the help of spiritual master, we cannot progress in our devotional service. When a person becomes sincere in practicing spirituality, Lord immediately brings us to the lotus feet of the Guru. And a sincere seeker, he will take the advantage of association of the Guru, the spiritual master, and he will further advances. And the spiritual master will take again back to the Lord Shri Krishna. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavana Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya, Bhakti Lata Bija. The greatest fortunate person, the one who has got the mercy of Guru and Krishna. If we get these 2 things, then our life will be successful. The very purpose of our taking birth here, it will be successful. That is going back to Godhead. So everything begins with the shelter of bona fide spiritual master, that is Srila Prabhupada. Now here, if we don't get the mercy of the spiritual master, if we see the spiritual practices, if we see in India, it is very, very difficult what is to be done, what is not to be done. Everyone will have different opinions. What is correct, what is wrong, you cannot easily identify. If you hear 2 people, then everyone, there will be so much of difference in their opinion. Tarko apratishta shrutayo vibhinna nashara vrishiriyasya matam na bhinnam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya mahajano yena gatasapanta. So that is the greatest confusion. But when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, in the purport, he has given everything clearly. If we read Bhagavad Gita without the purport of Srila Prabhupada, then we get misled. Sometimes Krishna glorifies the demigod worship, and sometimes he's talking about the impersonal understanding, all these things. But Prabhupada is immediately clarifying what is explaining here and what Krishna is going to talk next. And even at the first chapter itself, he is explaining about the 18th chapter. Because finally, Krishna has to say that Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. So that is explained in the beginning itself. And whenever there is an explanation of Ashtanga Yoga, then Prabhupada immediately mentions in the purport that this is all not for Kali Yuga, this is for other Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, the Sankirtana Yajna has to be performed. So clear that there is no question of getting confused. So that is the benefit of having a spiritual master. Without spiritual master, if you are trying to understand spiritual subject matter or any other subject matter, if you see, you can take either engineering or a doctor, medical, or any subject. If you just go and buy some textbook from the library and sit at home, nobody can become graduate. Nobody can learn the subject. One has to take admission and one has to learn from the teacher, and then one will be able to understand what is explained. So that if that is true for material subject matter, then what about spirituality? Spirituality is even more personal. Spiritual subject matter one cannot understand by only the effort. Just like if you don't understand maths, then you can go through the book and learn some formula. Somehow you can understand and write in the exam. But Bhagavad Gita, if we don't surrender to the Lord, as Prabhupada explains in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita itself, if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, one must at least accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without accepting this, Bhagavad Gita one cannot understand. So only by surrendering to Guru and Krishna, by praying to them, we can understand what is Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, we will not be able to learn anything from that. Many people give that, say like that. I read Bhagavad Gita so many times, but I could not understand. Why? Because they have not studied it in the association of devotees, or there was nobody to guide them. So that's why even though they read everything from beginning to end, nothing will be understood. So that is the importance of having a spiritual master. Spiritual master will correct us at every step. He will see what is correct, what is wrong, and what is okay for us, what we can practice, what is told in Shastra, and what is told for this yuga, and for my condition, from where I have to start, what is my inconveniences. All these things will be explained by Guru, the spiritual master, and he will guide us so that we can advance in spirituality. Otherwise, if we see directly the Shastra, so many instructions will be given. You have to do this, you have to do that. Then after reading all those things, then we'll find, oh, these things are impossible for me. We'll just give it up, thinking that this spiritual practice is not for us. But the spiritual master will encourage us. So everyone can become Krishna conscious. Everyone can chant the holy name of the Lord. Birth is not a problem. Or a person rich or poor, or healthy or sick, or any condition, a person can just start chanting the holy name of the Lord. As Prabhupada has given the concession, there were 64 rounds every day you have to chant. In the Western countries, it is almost impossible. You have to spend at least 8 to 10 hours daily for chanting. Then it is very, very difficult. So by seeing our condition in this Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada says, at least you must chant 16 rounds attentively every day. That will take 2 hours. Minimum 2 hours it will take. So at least chant 16 rounds. Otherwise, it is not possible to go back to Godhead. So these are the things which can be done only by the spiritual master. Nobody else can do it. So our spiritual practice will begin with the accepting the shelter of a spiritual master. Then becoming initiated by him or from him. Initiation. The Sanskrit word is Diksha. Prabhupada translated it as initiation. As we can understand from English, initiation means beginning. Because generally people have the understanding that Diksha, I got Diksha means I practiced so much and now finally I got my Diksha. Now everything is over or I have achieved something. But this is just a beginning. Initiation means commitment for practicing spirituality. I am committing at the time of initiation that I will chant definitely 16 rounds daily without postponing or without any failure in chanting. I will do it. I will follow all the 4 regulative principles. I will read Prabhupada books daily. So these are the oath that we take during the time of initiation. Initiation is not for fashion. Just like everyone takes, so I will also take. That is not the purpose, or it is not just for getting some name, some new name will get. That is not the purpose. The purpose is to get committed to the instructions of spiritual master. When a person has not taken initiation, there is no much commitment. But when he has taken the initiation, his commitment will become more stronger. Because I have given oath at the time of initiation that I will chant at all the time. So our real, the spiritual practice, it becomes firm when we take the initiation by the spiritual master and obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. Now in the entire ISKCON, these things are many things are same. That is, one has to chant 16 rounds daily. One has to follow 4 regulative principles. One has to read Srila Prabhupada books. These orders are same. Because in our ISKCON, there are multi-guru system. Many Maharajas are there, they give Diksha. But from wherever you take the Diksha, these main orders of the spiritual master, they remain the same. So we have to practice this devotional service by obeying the orders of spiritual master. These 3 things are the most important. Then the 4th one will come, the following the footsteps of great acharyas under the direction of spiritual master. All these things are coming later on. So these 10 items, if you see here, totally there are 10. Observing the fasting on the Ekadashi and worshipping the sacred trees like the banyan tree. These are totally 10. Then what is not to be done? That is to nivritti, that is given in the after 1 paragraph. One should rigidly give up the company of non-devotees. Like that, there are totally 10 items in that paragraph. So there totally we have done with the 20. Now the 64 items listed in this 6th chapter, it is not continuous number. It is given first 10, 1 number, running number. Then again starts with 1, again reaches up to 10. Then again, the next one will start from after 1 paragraph. That is the important other items. It starts from 1. One should decorate the body with tilaka, which is a sign of the Vaishnavas. A Vaishnava is one who makes others to remember Krishna. Whenever we see a Vaishnava, we should remember Krishna. So everyone, all the devotees, they wear the tilaka on their forehead. So this will go up to number, you can see 8, 9, 10, up to 42, 44. So first 10, next 10, then continuously for 44. That is, one should live in the jurisdiction of Mathura. So these are the 64 items which are explained in the next coming chapters. I had given the exercise for reading, that is the different items of Bhakti, the 64 items. So let us do that activity now. Hope everyone has read it. 20 items, all very important. Read and discuss your allocated items. Briefly present important points. in 3 minutes. So there will be 4 groups here. Totally 11 people. Okay, anyhow, 2 to 3 people in a group. Group 1 will explain from 1 to 4. Group 2, 5 to 9. Group 3, 10 to 14. And group 4, this one. Group 4, 15 to 18 and 20. The 19th item is aparada, that is offenses. It will be discussed separately. So these are the things which you have to explain. So I'll make 4 groups. Whoever comes in the particular group, you can take up these items. 1 to 4, first group. 5 to 9, second group. 10 to 14, third group. 15 to 18 and 20th, group 4. Hope this is everything clear for all. If you have any doubts, you can unmute and ask.
Prabhuji, can you make 3 groups instead of 4? Because sometimes we get only 1 or 2 people in the group.
Okay, so we'll club some more things. Or shall we make 2 groups? Group 1 and 2 again together.
Yes, Prabhu.
Last 2 again you can combine so that we can get more people. So 1 to 9, 1 group. Okay, it's almost like Pravritti and Nivritti. One group Pravritti, other group will be Nivritti. You take this 10 also other side. So one group will do Pravritti 1 to 10. Other group will do the Nivritti 11 to 20 except 19. And 19 is a big chapter. It will be explained in the separate chapter later on. That we'll see later. Hope this is okay for all. Yeah. You have 5 minutes for discussion and 2 to 3 minutes for explanation.
Krishna Chaitanya
Hare Krishna, welcome back to the discussion. 10 items of Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti. 20 items. So 10 plus 10. Anu Mataji, you can start.
Prabhuji, I'll do the first two and we will all do together.
Okay.
And Shweta Mataji will do the conclusion.
Okay.
This is the first two is the pravriti or the do's, which the first is accepting the shelter of lotus of the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master. As in any of our endeavors, we need a good teacher. And in my personal experience, I've found that whenever I've had my teachers who could guide me, I've done well in life. And whenever I found teachers who could not guide me, in fact, in my LLB last year, I had a teacher. He was a Supreme Court senior advocate and advocate on record also. He used to come in the class and not speak a word. I would, my sister and myself did our LLB together. She would ask me, let's go back home. I would say, no, let's say, he'll say something. I would keep waiting the whole 40 minutes and, expect that he would at least say something. He was a Supreme Court lawyer, but my sister, who is younger to me by 8 years, she was right and I was wrong. And he didn't guide me anything about the Evidence Act. Until now, I am very poor in it. And my credit, I've had good records at some times, all thanks to good teachers, and I've had bad records, all thanks to bad teachers. So the spiritual master is very necessary. Now, next is becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. Now, one has to, when you get a spiritual master, you have to approach and listen to him. That is also true. And initiation is the beginning. When you accept your teacher that this teacher is good, and whatever others also say this is that he's a good teacher or she's a good teacher, then one must accept it. And then the initiation is a process of acceptance. And then you start whatever education you are doing or spiritual education is you are doing or devotional service, that acceptance by you and by him or her, that starts the journey for whatever endeavors we might be putting in. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Puja Mataji will do the next.
Yeah, Puja Mataji, you can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. So the third one is obeying the orders of spiritual master with faith and devotion. So faith is a very important point which has been mentioned here. As Prabhuji, as you had explained earlier, that Bhagavad Gita has to be learned by those who have only faith in Krishna. So who can know Krishna? So one has to really have that faith in a complete in Krishna consciousness, and that is how you can actually elevate yourself. And that can be done only by the spiritual master. Under the guidance of spiritual master, one can grow that faith, and actually the devotional service can lift it more than that. And then the following footsteps of the great acharyas under the direction of spiritual master. So the spiritual master would definitely guide whoever are the Mahatmas, whoever are the great acharyas. One should follow the footsteps of them, and one should really follow the path of them so that they can elevate in the spiritual knowledge. That is how one should follow. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please raise your hand, those who want to speak next. Yeah, Lata Mataji, yes.
To inquire from the spiritual master how we are going to advance in Krishna consciousness. Like we need to understand what are the process, how we need to proceed to advance in Krishna consciousness with faith, and by the mercy and the faith of the spiritual master alone, we can advance in Krishna consciousness. We have to have his mercy and his grace. So we need to know that how we have to acquire this grace and mercy from our spiritual master. And then we should be prepared to give up all the material gratification so that we are able to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Krishna. That is, we in order to be in devotional service to the Lord, we should be prepared to give up the ones which we don't want to give up, and we need to accept the one which we do not want to accept. That is, we should develop and advance only by the grace and mercy of the spiritual master and Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Akhila Mataji.
Hare Krishna, audible, no?
Mataji, you are not audible clearly.
What about now? Now?
Very low voice.
How it is? Right now, Guru, how?
Now it is little better. Okay. Yeah, you can start.
See, the residing in a sacred place like Dwaraka, Puri Jagannath, etc. It's audible, no, Guruji, right now?
Now it's fine, Mataji. It's
Okay. So various Puranas like Skanda Purana, Brahma Purana, various proof we get, like staying there is very auspicious. Even various Devi Devatas will also like do devotional service in there. Suppose if it is not possible for a person to live there, means at least wherever they stay, by practicing Krishna consciousness, like they can turn into Dwaraka or Vrindavan. Next point is accepting only what it is necessary. Means before taking any promise, before making any vow, we should think today whether I am able to chant more than 16. If it is okay, means I can take such a promise. If it is not impossible, means should not make such commitment. That's all. Hare Krishna. That's all.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Archana Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I am doing the last 2 points of Pravritti. So observing fasting on Ekadashi and worshipping the sacred trees like banyan tree. So Ekadashi fasting is compulsory for every devotee because controlling our sense organs play a vital role to improve our spiritual development, spiritual progress. So it is compulsory that everybody should fast on Ekadashi. So when we are fasting, we are actually controlling the demands of our body. That is, once we control our belly, we are actually controlling all other sense organs automatically. And once we are controlling this, we are spending more time praying and reading Krishna books. Then the next, by doing this, we are actually controlling ourselves. We are getting self-control. Our mind is also getting controlled. And worshipping sacred trees like banyan tree, tulsi tree, amalika trees, all these, and worshipping brahmanas, cows, etc. We are actually getting rid of all the sins which we have committed in previous janmas. So it is very important to do. Next, Shweta Mataji will be summarizing. Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Shweta Mataji, you can unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare.
In the Pravarti, like the first 10 items are described here. So the first 5 are basically describing about the spiritual master, how we are supposed to accept shelter, initiation, and obey the orders, and follow the instructions and inquire. So by following these 10 items, we can make quick advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. What about Nivritti part? Neeta Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We are trying to discuss the Nivritti part. First few topics I'll take. One should be readily give up the company of non-devotees. It means if you're surrounded by people who are not Krishna conscious, we should move away from that place. also, we should not be sharing and disclosing our knowledge or bhakti in front of everyone. We should be very selective about it. Third point is, one should not be very enthusiastic about constructing costly temples. So it's like that, we should not be constructing these temples for our comfort or royal life. It should be for bhakti. It's for seva, we should be constructing all these temples. Next one is, one should not try to read too many books. Nor should one develop the idea of earning this livelihood by lecturing or professionally reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. So the idea is that if we are reading too many books altogether, it might confuse us. So at a time, we should be focusing only on one book and we should go through properly. And we should not be taking as a professionally. We should not be preaching others and taking money in, for the preaching and all.
Yeah.
One should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. It means one should be very, very careful when dealing with people around us, whether it's your language, your body postures, or your words, everything. So the next few points, Prabhuji is going to continue.
Yeah.
Odiya. Point number 6. One should not be under the spell of lamentation in loss or jubilation in gain. It's basically the Krishna consciousness of mode of goodness. Means one should be very level-headed, stable in not expressing either of the feelings, emotions. One should not disrespect the demigods. As per the Bhagavad Gita, we are focusing only on Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead. It doesn't mean that we should have any disrespect for it. Wherever we see, necessary respect should be given to the demigods in spite of it. Though we are focusing on the Supreme Personality of the God.
Yes, thank you.
One should not give unnecessary trouble to any living entity. A living entity means it should cover, we should not be a source of trouble to anybody. A living entity means covering all the species, whatever it is. Environmental, this thing, animal, whatever it is. So basically, it's reflecting on your behavior, fact, good behavior. One should be very intolerant toward blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his devotees. One has to be very strict and intolerant in people whoever are blaspheming means there should be no dissociate with them and avoid them. That's the way we should act in the practice. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Nandita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I was in this group too, but I remembered something that NND Prabhuji said about the third one. It says, obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. In the Bhagavatam class a couple of days ago, somebody asked at the end of the class that I can do 16 rounds, but I also cannot do 16 rounds. And then Prabhuji said, why or what is it? She said, 8 rounds is okay with me, but 8 rounds, either I do it very inattentively, or I say, why do it at all? Because the quality is so bad. So, it's okay. It is okay with me. And some days I'm so busy with children, with work, with this, with that. I'm not even able to do 8 rounds properly. So why do 16? Like, can I stop at 8 and, it's better than doing 16 inattentively. So Prabhuji said exactly this third point, Prabhu. Obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. He just said it is an order by Srila Prabhupada. So just go by that. And when you sit down to chant, think of him and say that it is my master's order and I will never disobey my master's order. And he said automatically you will start enjoying and relishing the holy name and you will start doing 16 without even you knowing you will reach those 16 rounds. I just remembered this example for the third point, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So certain things to be discussed. Sangatyaga, that is avoiding the association, because when we associate with the non-devotees, their desires will be absorbed by us. So it may become harmful for our devotional service. And not preaching to those who are not interested. That is the 9th offense of Nama. and undertaking huge constructions or temples. This is how Prabhupada has given the instruction, like Prabhupada was printing books as his spiritual master has ordered him. Whenever you get money, print books. And after printing so many books and distributing it to the entire world, the money that was coming from distribution of the books was so much that then he thought of constructing the temples. And these temples also, they are very unique. They are like learning centers. They are not just like do some worship of the Lord only. It is giving the knowledge why we have to practice devotional service. All these things, the devotional science, those things are explained in these temples, so that the purpose of learning is performed, it is achieved through the temples that Prabhupada has established throughout the world. Then comes the next one is reading too many books. As Prabhupada has told, we should read all his books at least 6 times. That means including Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. First, we should read at least once. Once we let us complete all his books, it will itself will take so many years. And now if you are able to read 6 times all his books, then you may think of reading any other books. The purport here is Prabhupada want to say that reading Prabhupada books is enough. You don't need any other books. It is a complete understanding. As Prabhupada himself told, my books include everything. It doesn't need anything from outside. If you don't understand, you read it again. You will get it. And we should not read any books from anybody, because this translation from Sanskrit, because none of us don't know Sanskrit. We all read translated books. So this translation done by whom? That is very, very important. Avaishnava mukhodgirinam putam harikatamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpochishta payoyatha. If the book is translated by a non-devotee, then it is like milk touched by a serpent. The serpent, when it touches the milk, it will not remain as a milk, it will become poison. Similarly, if a non-devotee, he is explaining the glory of the Lord, he will not be able to do it honestly. He will add something or he will remove something. So that is not to be accepted. So such books should not be read. It will destroy our bhakti. So that is the meaning of here reading too many books, and also reading too many books without the instruction of spiritual master will confuse us. What is actually needed? That is needed. And defeating others in useless arguments, this is also not recommended. And not feel miserable in any material circumstances. That is, being in this material world, there will be so many difficulties in life. The one who accept these things and Atmanyeva Atmana Tushta Stita Prajnas Tadochyate, as Krishna explains the Stita Prajnas characters. The one who is able to tolerate this, then he will be able to perform devotional service. Then not lamenting in loss or other extreme emotions, and not disrespecting the devatas. Devata should not be disrespected. Here, devata worship is explained by Krishna in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Devan bhavayata nena te deva bhavayantuvaha parasparam bhavayanta siddhim paramavapsyata. That means the human being should worship the demigods, and the demigods will give the rain and grain. Both will be given by the demigods, and we will also become happy. Siddhim paramavapsyata. Whatever we need materially, they will provide. For that purpose, one should worship the demigods, but at the same time, one should understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not take these demigods to be the Supreme. So demigods should not be disrespected. Disrespecting, it comes sometimes when we learn that demigods are lower than Supreme Personality of Godhead, so they are not important. No, they are appointed by the Lord himself for taking care of the affairs of the entire world. So that due respect we have to give to them. But at the same time, we should know what is the difference between demigods and the Lord himself. And one should not trouble other living entities. and avoiding the offenses, that is 19th one. Okay. Chanting Seva Parada, Nama Parada, all those things. Then finally, tolerating the blasphemy. Whenever a person blasphemes the Lord, we can do many things there. Just you can, if you take the example of Shishupala, when Shishupala was blaspheming Lord Krishna, some people, they just closed their ear and left the place. And some other people, they came up with the weapons and tried to attack Shishupala. And some other people, they tried to argue with Shishupala to prove that he is wrong. And these are the some of the things what one can do. But the recommended thing is just close your ear and go away from that place. By doing so, you are saying that to the person that whatever you are telling, it is not correct, or I am not accepting it. By that gesture itself, we can stop him. We can just close your eyes and just move away, so that he will not be able to continue anything. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So that is what we can do. But if you are, if you see other examples like the Kshatriyas, when the Shishupala was blaspheming Krishna, they took their weapons and they attacked. They tried to attack Shishupala, but Krishna stopped them. And Bhishmacharya, he argued that whatever Shishupala is telling, it's all wrong. Whatever he is telling, it is not correct. So these are the different things. And if you take another example, in the Daksha Yajna, Sati, she gave up her life. So this is the last thing one can do. Just give up your life when one sees that some devotee or the Lord is being insulted. Daksha, he did not give the sacrifice, the part of the sacrifice to Lord Shiva. And when Sati saw this, she said, "You are insulting Lord Shiva because I am his wife and you are my father, because of this relation. And this relation is there because of me. So if I am myself is not there, then this relationship will not be there. So your enmity also will be there. It will not be there." So Diti decided to give up her life. So that is not recommended for all. One should just close their ear and move away from that place. That is the blasphemy of the devotees. Yeah, Akhila Mataji, you want to say something?
Hare Krishna, Guruji. About last offense, Guruji, I want to tell, like, why you Kali Yuga, most of the people don't know the proper knowledge of like what it is actually, mainly because of foreign knowledge has destroyed most of Gurukulas, most of them. Like, I think because of that. And I have experienced most of that. When I was in college, Guruji, one lady used to tell, like, she gets bhakti with respect to Shiva because Shiva looks like Vairagi. Whereas Vishnu, like when she's Vishnu, she thinks like he's like politician because grand dress he will do, like that she was told. Like, but on that day, according to my knowledge, I explained her, like, because after telling that, she like somewhat convinced. Oh, that is the reason. Like, shall I tell that reason? It is like actually according to Devi Purana. I told, like, according to Devi Purana, like Mother Lalita, she is the Lord of everything. She is the mother of even the 14 universe, every 14 planetary system, everything. Yeah. So according to that, like there are like 10 Mahavidya. In that first Mahavidya, the Mother Kali dances and produces 3 eggs. The first egg, there Prabhu Sri Hari Narayan and Mata Parvati born together. Like if you observe, right, Prabhu Sri Hari Narayan and Mother Parvati, like both are brother and sister, and they have similar qualities. See, both are dark but very attractive look, and like they decorate themselves very nicely. Similarly, in other egg, Shiva and Mother Saraswati both born together. They both are Vairagis. Like Shiva is also completely Vairagi. like when I told that concept to her, no, she somewhat convinced. Guruji. That's what, like, most of them not aware of the culture. Because of that, I think people will degrade. Did you got my point?
Yes, yeah, just a minute, Mataji. Okay, there was some noise there. Okay. Yes, Mataji, thank you.
Okay, without proper knowledge, it happens, Guruji. Like, I think so.
Yeah, here.
It is our duty to educate them. If not, then we have to leave the place.
Yeah, when we here the point is blasphemy. So when the person is blaspheming, we should not answer. If they are inquisitive, then we can try to convince them, whatever we can speak. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I ask something?
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, in Nivritti part, though I have taken this point number 3, we should not be very enthusiastic about constructing costly temples and monasteries. I had this doubt since morning, but I had explained, but I'm still not satisfied. I mean, what is the correct answer to this?
Yeah, one should not construct big temples, but still we are constructing temples. Why? That is the question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So there is a incident. It happened during the time of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One rich man came and he constructed a big temple. But the problem was all the brahmacharis were fighting for the rooms. I want this room, I want this room. They are not focused on the preaching activity. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur told Prabhupada that whenever you get money, you print books. These books will be distributed and people get educated in the spiritual subject matter. So that becomes the main purpose. Prabhupada also never thought of constructing the temple. Whenever there was excess money and when he was able to construct the temple, that is also for preaching purpose, he constructed the temples. Otherwise, what happens if you are only thinking about constructing a temple and if you don't focus on the devotees, making devotees, then only you will have the building. There will not be any devotional activities. So that is not recommended, and your time and energy also goes into that. It will affect your spiritual practice also. So such things should not happen. If it happens, if you see the examples of Goswamis, they personally did not construct the temple, but there were many people, many rich people, they came voluntarily, then they constructed the temple. That was all by the arrangement of the Lord himself. So Goswamis, they were busy with their writing and preaching. So that is how we should understand this. If there is an opportunity, let there be a temple, and that temple also should be used for preaching. Preaching should be the first intention. If you see many temples in India, the rituals are there, but the spirituality is not there. The spirit of understanding Krishna, it is not there. So it is only a ritual place. So what happens generally, the later generations, when they come, they will ask certain questions, but we don't have the answer. Then what happens? They will get attracted by the material knowledge only, because they find material knowledge is very scientific. You can prove it, you can experiment it, and it is visible. But these people, whatever they tell in the temple, it is not explained by anyone. So it is unscientific, or it is not for this modern age. So they will just reject all those things. So the culture gets affected. Then gradually the people will become atheists. So these are the dangers. So first preference should be given for learning or teaching the subject matter. And then if you have the facility, it is good, well and good, because we can do it in a systematic manner. Otherwise, Prabhupada started his preaching under a tree in a park. He was just doing the kirtan and giving very small, basic principles of bhakti. So that's how he started. By Krishna's arrangement, it will happen. If Krishna wants, he will make big temples. That is well and good. But we should not over endeavor for that. I think this answers your question, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, perfectly. Thank you so much. And we feel very good when we visit these temples.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Continuing further. Those who would like to read can raise their hand. Puja Mataji. Hare Krishna. I think there is some problem with your microphone. Neeta Mataji. Hare Krishna. Is there any problem from my side? Anu
Am
Mataji?
I audible? Am I audible, Prabhuji?
We are not able to hear them, Prabhu.
Yeah. Anu, Puja Mataji, you can continue.
Am I audible now?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. 20 items, all very important. The regulative principle of devotional service enjoins that all of our senses must be employed in the service of the Lord. Exactly how they can be thus employed is described in the above 64 items. Now, Srila Rupa Goswami will give evidence from different scriptures supporting the authenticity of many of these points. Nectar of Devotion, page number 57. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So what is the need for all these 64 items? It is to engage all the people. Everyone cannot be engaged in one service. Somebody likes to distribute the books. Somebody likes to help in kitchen. Somebody likes to preach to the people. Somebody may like to fundraising. Like that, everyone will not be able to fit to all the activities. So Prabhupada has made this, Rupa Goswami has given this 64 items so that whatever service you like, you can offer it to Krishna. You can make a nice garland for the Lord, or if you are good at stitching the clothes, you can make a nice stitching for the Lord, or you can decorate the Lord with flowers and jewels. All these things in n number of ways. How you take care of a baby, how much the mother loves the baby, and in whatever way she tries to make the child comfortable. So in the same manner, whatever way it is possible, we should offer our love to Krishna. Whatever we offer to Krishna, it is an expression of love. So that is the opportunity being given here in the 64 items of sadhana bhakti. So for every person, one can find the proper service. Just like somebody, if you say, you must do this singing, or you must do kirtan, but he is not comfortable with that. He may be comfortable with serving prasadam. So you can send him for serving prasadam only. So don't force, or make a number of different types of services in the temple, so that everyone can take up their service which they like, so that everyone can be engaged in the service of the Lord. Neeta Mataji. Okay, Anu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Principle and detail. The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instructions of his spiritual master is considered in detail. Nectar of Devotion, page 50. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So that is the first principle, to accept the spiritual master. How to accept the spiritual master, it will be explained in detail separately. Now, after completing the 20 items, we have other items. So this is given in chapter number 8. Chapter 7 is evidence regarding devotional principles, that is from 1 to 20. They are separately explained in 1 to 20, that means 1 to 18 are explained in chapter 7. Those things we have seen in brief. And 19th one, that is the 8th chapter in our book. So here, this 19th one again made into divisions. Like there are 32 supplementary, that is Seva Parada, supplementary Vedic, and 29 Varaha Purana, and 8 other rules. These are explained here. If you can see 32, the paragraph number 1, it's a long paragraph. There are 32 things. It begins with the one should not enter the temple of the deity in a car or palanquin or with shoes on the feet. This is the first one, supplementary instructions which one should follow. One should not fail to observe the various festivals for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the second one. Like that, there are 32 items. One should not deride the demigods before the deity. This is the 32nd. Then next we have 29 items from the Varaha Purana. So this list of 22 offenses, beside this, there are number of offenses which are mentioned in the Varaha Purana. They are: one should not touch the deity in a dark room. These all are details, extra, whatever things are not explained previously. One should not fail to strictly follow the rules and regulations in worshipping the deity. One should not enter the temple of the deity without first making some sound. These are the instructions given in Varaha Purana. There are totally 29. Then, continuing further, there are eight more things. 8 other rules are explained in the next paragraph. And then finally, there are 10 offenses that are explained in the last paragraph. That is from the Padma Purana. So here you can see in my book, it is page number 71. Worship of the demigod Ganapati, who drives away all impediments in the execution of devotional service. So that here one should begin the worship of the demigod Ganapati, who drives away all impediments in execution of devotional service. So that is, Rupa Goswami is telling about the worship of Ganapati before you begin the worship of the Lord. So here Prabhupada explains that in the next continuation, in Brahma Samhita, it is stated that Ganapati worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Narasimha and Narasimhadeva, and in that way has become auspicious for the devotees in clearing out all impediments. Yatpada Pallava Yugam Vinidhaya Kumbha Dvandve Pranama Samaye Saganadhiraja Vignan Vihantu Malamasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. By holding whose lotus feet Lord Ganapati is able to remove all the obstacles, I worship that Govinda. So this is the glorification of Narasimhadev. Now all the this inauspiciousness are removed by Ganapati by the mercy of Narasimhadev. So when we are directly worshipping Lord Narasimha, there is no separate worship of Ganapati. This is what Srila Prabhupada is clarifying here. That's why in ISKCON we don't have worship of Ganesha, but we have the worship of Lord Narasimhadeva. The deities should not be bathed. Okay, that is separate point. So this is one point we have to be very clear. And the 10 offenses that is explained in the last paragraph. This we chant every day morning after Tulasi Arati. These 10 offenses one must know before chanting the holy name. We should remember these 10 offenses. So what are those 10 offenses? First offense is to blaspheme the devotees who are dedicated their life for the propagation of the holy name. The devotees, blaspheming the devotees is the greatest offense and is the first one. Second one is blaspheming the Vedic, considering the demigods to be equal to or independent of Lord Vishnu. The demigods will never become equal to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Devate Samatvena Viksheta Sa Pashandi Bhavedruvam. The one who considers the demigods to be equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is considered as a Pashandi. That means he is a Nastika. He is a atheist, because he doesn't know the difference between Supreme Personality of Godhead and the demigod. And then the third one is disobeying the orders of the spiritual master. Fourth one is blaspheming the Vedic literature and the literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth one is to consider the glories of the chanting as an imagination. That is, you are lowering the glory of the holy name. And sixth one is giving some mundane interpretation. Whatever comes to our mind about the spiritual, about the holy name, if we give such kind of explanation, that is the sixth offense. Seventh offense is the holy name is able to destroy all the sin. But if you are performing the sin on the strength of holy name, that is the seventh offense. That becomes even more critical. Then eighth offense is to consider chanting as a karmakanda activity. Because chanting of the holy name can give us Krishna prema. But anything else, if we get, it's a byproduct. So that byproduct itself, if it becomes very attractive for us, and if we think that holy name is only for getting some karmakanda results, then that becomes eighth offense. And instructing faithless person is ninth offense. And 10th offense is to have material attachment even after understanding so many instructions. Even after understanding Siddhanta Baliya Chitta Nakara Alasa Iha Ite Krishna Lage Sudhada Manasa. When a person understands the spiritual importance, he should not continue his material attachments, but he has to give up and advance in the Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it becomes 10th offense. Then Prabhupada again includes one more. That is, it is also offensive to be inattentive while chanting. Inattentive chanting, it is considered as the 11th offense. It is not included in the Padma Purana, because generally when we chant or when we perform any activity, it is understood that it will be done attentively. So it was not included, but by seeing our condition that we can chant even inattentively, and that will ruin all our efforts because our mind is not involved in chanting. So Prabhupada has included it is also inattentive while chanting. So these are the 10 offenses over the Nama Parada, which is given in Padma Purana. So these are the Nama Parada and Seva Parada. Okay, with a partner, select any Seva Parada and perform a skit demonstrating how to avoid it. Okay, we'll just, those who would like to read or speak something about it, you can explain. We don't have the time for doing skit here now. It's time. Anybody would like to add any points about Seva Parada and at home, at ISKCON or PG program? You can raise your hand. Anu Mataji.
At ISKCON Mangaluru, I took up the service of calling up people. This was the only service I took because forwarding messages was full. There was no other person. There was no vacancy for that. So, but when I started calling up people, I realized it was not just an issue of calling them up. It was just to ask them to do Bhakti Shastri, not anything else. So somebody wanted this life membership in name of her son, wanted to gift it on his birthday, NRI. There were many ancillary services, which I think now I should have said, yes, I will do it. But at that time, I thought my duty was just to enroll them for Bhakti Shastri. So I said, you go to the website and do that. Somebody had not got the L3 certificate. So I said, you write a mail. So somebody who, there was a doctor in Delhi whom I called up, and he didn't pick up the phone. Then his wife picked up the phone. Then I said, this name. So she said, there was some argument, a very heavy argument, violent fight going on. So I said, this is the course. He was very depressed. So I said, this is the course and this thing. And he said, yeah, I want to do it. I want to do it. So I said, okay, I'll send you the link of Aishwarya Mataji, you do it. Then there were very old ladies who were very suspicious of my activities. Now I got a list of 184 people. After 40, 50, I got tired. I was not able to take the pressure of calling up people and getting involved in their personal lives and things like that. So I stopped. And it is an aparadh. And till now, I feel I should get up in the morning, make a list and complete those 100, 120 people because it is a seva aparadh. I was given those 184 people to call up, but I didn't know how to go about it, how to properly approach them. They all had lots of problems. Some were very happily settled and very happy to know that I'm calling from there. And they were very nice people also. But it was a journey and I didn't complete it. And I don't know what to do about it. I feel guilty.
Okay. This is before Bhakti Shastri beginning or recently?
No, after Bhakti Shastri began, when I filled up the shelter form in September. Last year, September.
Okay, for the new batch.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were all 6 to 7 round chanters only. They were not 16 round chanters. I had to convince them were they going to increase their rounds and would they like to join Bhakti Shastri. That was only my area. But people were very nice. They were working. They didn't have time to do it. Many were very happy to know that I'm calling from ISKCON Bangalore. But after 50, 60 calling up, it became a pressure and I lost. I got involved in an online fraud. HDFC account of mine got, somehow I did the OTT and my money went away. So I also became very wary of calling up people and I was going to the cybercrime police and things like that. And I also understood how many people were very suspicious of my calling them up. So I stopped. So it's a seva aparadh. Because maybe God wanted that those people should be happy that somebody is calling them up and I did not call them up. So I should do it someday.
Yeah, you'll get more service, Mataji, don't worry.
No, but I should finish this, no?
Yeah. But they might have got call from others, no? There were only you, others were there. Anybody
No,
else?
I was given this list and Aishwarya Mataji had said, this is the list, you keep calling them up.
Okay. You can call in a little bit. It may not be at a time. You can do little every day.
Yes, I'll do it.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Anybody else would like to add something? Okay, it is time we should continue now. Let us hear from Srila Prabhupada. Those who would like to read can please raise their hand. Nandita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Here is Krishna personally present. Therefore, our duty is that we should never think of this deity as something made of stone or metal. We should always think, here is Krishna personally present. That is devotion. And we should worship him like that. We should offer respect. That here is Krishna. We cannot do anything wrong.
Continue, Mataji.
And therefore, there is a list of offenses in the nectar of devotion. Do you discuss this? So we should avoid these offenses. Not that here is a stone statue. He's not going to see what I'm doing this offense. Then that is not very good. We should always feel, here is Krishna personally present. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, Verse 19. Dallas, March 3rd, 75. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. If we see the Lord as a doll or as a stone, he will look like that only. But if we feelingly offer him the worship, then he will reciprocate. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tatheva bhajamyaham. So that is how we should understand. I request all the devotees to go through all the 64 items of Bhakti, Sadhana Bhakti, so that we will understand those. The remaining, whatever we have not discussed here, they are small details we can read. One should not eat anything which is not offered to Krishna, first to Krishna. Like that, there are sentences which you can understand. If you don't understand any of the points, then we will discuss in the next class. Puja Mataji. I think the problem is there still. Lata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Nama Prada. Even when a person becomes an offender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he can still be delivered simply by taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord. In other words, the chanting of Hare Krishna is beneficial for eradicating all sins. But if one becomes an offender to the holy name of the Lord, then he has no chance to be delivered or liberated. Nectar of Devotion, page 72. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is the very grave offense where we perform offense at the Nama itself. Because if we perform any offense to the Lord, for example, when we do the worship of the Lord, there are many offenses that can happen. The offering of the flower, the offering of the bhoga to the Lord, the chanting of the mantra, ringing the bell, keeping the place clean. The Lord may not be comfortable with our service because we are very neophyte. Those things may be aparadha, but when we chant the holy name of the Lord, all these aparadhas will get nullified. That's why we do kirtan, loud kirtan, when we are worshipping the Lord. So by doing this loud kirtan, even though there is some mistake in the worship of the Lord, all those things gets cleared. But if we perform the offense at the holy name itself, which are discussed just now, then there is no chance of deliverance. So this has to be taken very seriously. One should be very careful while performing the one should avoid all the offenses towards the holy name of the Lord. Now, offenses towards the holy name of the Lord, if you see, it is not performed during chanting. Most of them, if you see blaspheming the devotees, we don't blaspheme anybody during the chanting of the holy name, or considering the demigod should be equal to the Lord, or disobeying the spiritual master. All these things, offenses, they are not performed while chanting. They are performed other times whenever we are dealing with the devotees. So we should be very careful throughout our life, throughout our day. So whole day, how we are spending, based on that, the next day chanting will be, chanting quality will depend on. If we are spending the entire day in a devotional atmosphere, then your next day chanting will be very good. But if you are not able to do this, or if you perform any of the offenses, 10 offenses, then it will directly affect the chanting on the next day. So this we should remember always. Lesson 6, objectives. Overviewed the 64 items of sadhana and divisions, and discussed the difference between principle and details, the compass and the path, and significance of ISKCON's future. Explain the significance of first 20 items, then Seva Parada and avoiding the Nama Parada. Puja Mataji, can you read this?
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
You must see that they strictly follow the regulative principles, the 4 prohibitions, as well as the devotional practices of arising early, taking morning bath, putting on tilaka, attending Mangalarti, chanting Japa 16 rounds, and attending Srimad Bhagavatam class.
Continue, Mataji.
This is the duty of all my initiated disciples, whether they are big or they are small. Actually, in our movement, there is no such thing as big or small. Everyone is a devotee. So everyone is expected to follow the devotional practices. Letter to Gopi Janavallabha, Vrindavan, 19 September 1974. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So everyone must follow, those who are initiated especially. One should arise every morning, every day, early in the morning, and take bath, put on tilaka, attend Mangalarti, chant the 16 rounds, and attend the Srimad Bhagavatam class. These are the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada, for all the devotees who wants to advance in their spiritual life. So with this, we have come to the conclusion of today's session. Those who have any questions can raise their hand. Any questions regarding today's class? Anu Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, last class you said Vaikuntha and Goloka difference. Vaikuntha, Dasya, Rasa people go and Goloka. So number one question is Dasya Rasa lower Rasya? And second question as regards this point is, does Paramatma remain with us to guide us to Goloka when a person goes to Vaikuntha, or he leaves us at Vaikuntha?
Yeah, Paramatma doesn't continue in the Vaikuntha or in the Goloka. He will be there with us till we are having this. Only till till we lose this material body. It will not continue in the spiritual world. And Dasya Rasa is considered to be the lower as per the hierarchy. But it doesn't mean that one should not perform Dasya Rasa. Every devotee has his own way of expressing the devotion to the Lord. So all the devotional service one can perform.
Prabhuji, second question is, in Kali Yuga, the Sankirtan is the mode of worship and Dwapar was temple worship. So we have not started Sankirtan. We are still making temples. So how is it?
No, temple worship is there, but the main thing is Sankirtan only in Kali Yuga. It happening. It has started. It has growing. It has spread everywhere. Now whole world is taking to it. It is there everywhere. But Archana, other things are there. Temple worship is there, the sacrifice, yajna is also going on, and dhyana is also there. But if you see the number of people who practice it, it is very little. The dhyana, it is hardly people able to concentrate their mind. Major 99% of the population cannot do it. And yajna also. And archana, it is now presently limited to the temples. At home, we are not able to maintain the standards. Even though if we do, it is very small way. But the actual archana paddhati, the way of worship, it is very elaborate, which is now performed only in the temples. But in Sankirtan, everyone is chanting the holy name. Millions of people are doing Sankirtan. So it is propagating more. So the Sankirtan itself is the Yuga Dharma and it is being propagated.
Prabhuji, and last question, sacrifice. Was cow also sacrificed? Like in either Bakrid, apart from gold, a cow and a camel are also put in as a sacrifice. So was in Hindu culture, cow also sacrificed?
Now you should understand what is the difference between any other kind of killing the animal and sacrifice. Here, Prabhupada has explained clearly. What he has told that the animal should get a better life after the sacrifice. Then only the sacrifice is successful. And in Kali Yuga, it is banned by the Shastra itself. It is not allowed. Ashwamedam Gavalambam Sanyasam Paila Paitrikam Devarena Sutotpatim Kalu Pancha Vivarjayat. These are the 5 things one should not perform in the Kali Yuga. That is the instructions. So Gomedha Yajna was there, the cow killing Yajna was there, but that is performed as a matter of giving another birth or a higher birth to the animal. It is not for sense gratification.
Okay, Prabhuji.
It is not allowed in Kali Yuga.
But then they were having prasad also of that cow killing. If they were sacrificing it, they were having it.
We should not speak about something which we have not experienced, because this is general understanding, like killing is for eating, but that is not the point here. We don't know how they were performing, so we should not comment on it.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Nandita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Mine is not really related to the chapter. Just wanted to know, there are steps towards initiation, right? And does one have to memorize this book when they go for an initiation exam or something like that?
This NOD book, no.
Yes, Prabhu, because all the rules are. So will this book?
No. Let me explain. You should know parampara acharyas who are coming, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then Prabhupada. Like that, the parampara should be known. You should know how to do the bhoga offering, what mantra should be chanted while performing bhoga. Such things, basic things are there. There is a book now. This IDC book is there, no, Madam Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, I was remembering that only.
That you must read, and those things, whatever explained, you must know. And this NOD, I think there is an instruction that you must read this NOD at least once, something like that. First 19 chapter. Is it there? I read it.
I don't remember, Prabhu. It's just very scary that if one has to memorize everything in this book.
Certain books you must have read. Srimad Bhagavatam first canto you must have read. Like that, some books are given.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Right. You're right.
Memorizing at 15 shloka from Bhagavad Gita, one should memorize. That is for second initiation, I think. Something like that, some instructions.
Yeah, there is a list. You're right, Prabhu, you're right. And yes, Prabhu, what you were explaining about knowing at least the basic things very clearly, I think even in the Sadachar course, the first part and that booklet are very clear about how to go about doing the offering and prayers to be said and all that, Prabhu. So it is covered.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
This initiation will be online or offline?
It is most of the time offline, Mataji. Only during the Corona time it has happened some places online. Here it will be offline.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Okay, if there are no more questions, then we'll stop for today. We'll continue in the next session, the lesson number 7. I thank all the devotees for attending today's Bhakti Shastri class and actively participating in the discussion. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya ki jai. Thank you.